to today's lesson on factor theorem. We are still on the polynomial functions. In our previous lesson, we looked at remainder theorem. As I said previously, that when it comes to factor theorem and remainder theorem, the two are related. So whatever knowledge you've attained or you've acquired uh, in the concept of remainder theorem, you are going to apply that knowledge here because the two are what related. Most of the time when questions are given, you use the idea of the remainder theorem to find or to work out your way of getting answers or solutions to questions on factor theorem. So today we are looking at how we can find the factors of a given polynomial, or what makes one polynomial function a factor of another polynomial function. That is what we are going to look at today. So I want you to stay calm. My name is Evans Okine. This is Masbis TV. I'm going to be your mathematics facilitator for today's concepts. Without wasting my time, let's quickly look at what we mean by factor theorem. When we talk about factor theorem, what it entails. All right. Yes. So for this concept, we are saying that when a polynomial is divided by a divisor and the remainder is 0, then that divisor is a factor of the polynomial. So you remember when we're doing the remainder theorem, we got some questions that after dividing the dividend by the divisor, whatever remainder we get, we got 0. So once you realize that after dividing one polynomial function by another polynomial function, then and the answer, the remainder you get is 0, then we see that that divisor is a factor of that polynomial. That is what we are talking about. Okay, as long as you get 0, okay, as long as the remainder is 0, then you can conclude that the divisor is what? Is a factor of that given polynomial. That's what we are talking about. All right. So for instance, let's say if you have x minus k, if x minus k is a factor of a given polynomial px, p of x, then we can see that the remainder, when that divisor, which is x minus k, okay, is divided or divides the given polynomial function, if it is 0, then we conclude that that polynomial function or that divisor is a factor. Okay, that is what we are talking about. So we don't waste much time. Let's look at some examples and see how it goes. So in this example, we are asked to show that x minus 2 is a factor of the polynomial function f of x is given as x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x plus 2. So this question demands we show. Okay, yes. So we are going to divide the polynomial function f of x by x minus 2. If we are able to get the remainder as 0, then we can conclude that x minus 2 is a factor of f of x. That is what we are saying. Okay, so remember what we did in the remainder theorem, how you are given a question to find the remainder, how you go about it. We are going to apply the same knowledge here. Okay, yes. So when you see such example, it's very easy. You don't have to worry yourself. You need to chill, take your time, and go through everything successful. All right, yes. So that is what we are going to look at now. All right. Yeah, so that is what we are going to look at right now. So how do we go about this? First of all, you need to find what the zeros of the divisor, as we did previously in the remainder theorem. So how do we find the zeros? Okay, so first of all, let's write our solution, and then we also write the given polynomial function f of x. Then we find the zeros of x minus 2. So if we are finding zeros, then x minus 2 is equal to what? 0. And x gives us what? 2. So once we are able to find the zero of what? That divisor, then we substitute 2 into what? The function given. Okay, so we are substituting 2 for x in the polynomial function given, and when we substitute whatever we get, the answer we get, if we get 0, then we can see that x minus 2 is a factor of f of x. So let's try and see how it works. So as we are saying that if x minus 2 is a factor of f of x, then we can see that f at 2 should be equal to what? 0. So let's prove and see how it is going to be. So as we have substituted f at 2, we are going to get what? 2 cubed minus 4 multiplying 2 squared plus 3 multiplying 2 plus 2, and that gives us 8 minus 4 multiplying 4 plus 6 plus 2, which is 8 minus 16 plus 6 plus 2, and that gives what? 0. Yes, so once we've gotten 0, then we can say that x minus 2 is what? Is a factor of f of x. Have we gotten that? Yes. That is all about the factor theorem. All that we are saying is that if it is a factor, okay, so whenever you have an expression, okay, if one of its factors will make or will give a remainder of 0, okay, then that concludes that that is what is a factor of the given expression. Okay, yes, that is what we are talking about. So for factor theorem, it's very easy, it's not difficult. All that you need to do is that whenever you divide the given polynomial by another polynomial, your remainder should be 0. That is all, as simple as that. Okay, so if that's the case, then let's take a full example and see how we can do it. So for this example, we are saying that if 2x minus 1 is a factor of the polynomial p of x is equal to 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus nx plus 3, we are to find what the value of n, and also find the other two factors. So it means that 2x minus 1 is a factor, is one of the factors of the polynomial given, and we also have to find other two factors, meaning that we can have 3 factors, because if we are given one of the factors, then it means that we can also have other 2 factors, and we shall be looking at all these 2 factors. Okay, so as we are saying that if 2x minus 1 is a factor of p of x, then we can say that the remainder should be what? 0. Yes, the remainder should be 0. So that means when we divide p of x by 2x minus 1, we should get a remainder of what? 0. That's what we are saying. So first of all, let's put down our polynomial function. Then we find the 0. Okay, as I said, always you find the 0 of the divisor, and whatever answer you get, you substitute. When you substitute, the value that will give you becomes your remainder. Okay, yes, so that is how it is. Okay, so if you are finding the zeros, then we can say that 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. For that matter, we have 2x is equal to 1. And what will be our x? If we should divide both sides by 2, then our x is given as half. as we said, if um, 2x minus 1 is a factor of p of x, then you can say p of half should be equal to 0. Yes, that's if it is a factor. That means if we should divide p of x by 2x minus 1, the remainder should be 0. Okay, so let's substitute. Okay, all right, good. So if we substitute, this is what we are going to get. This is what we are going to get. Okay, all right. So okay, in that case we are going to get 1 on 4 minus 5 on 4 minus n on 2 plus 3 is equal to 0. And we have what our LCM, which is equal to 4. When you have fractions like this, you need to find the LCM. Okay, and once you are able to find the LCM, then you multiply through by the LCM, which is what, 4. So as you can see, 4 multiplies 1/4 minus 4 multiplies 5 on 4, and then 4 multiplies 2 on what? N on 2, 4 multiplies 3, and 4 multiplies 0. And that gives us what? 1 minus 5 minus 2n plus 12, which is equal to 0. Okay, so how do we find n? By grouping like terms. Okay, if we group like terms, then we are going to have negative 2n is equal to negative 8. When you divide both sides by negative 2, then you are going to get n to be what? 4. So it means that the value of n is what? 4. And that answers the first question. Okay, so when you are given a question like this, it is very easy. This is how you go about it. Okay, now let's look at how to find the second one. So to find the other two factors, we are saying that you need to what? Substitute the value of n, that is the 4, in the polynomial function and divide by the first factor or divisor. So you are given 2x minus 1, okay, as one of the factors. Okay, you were asked to find the value of n. Once you are able to find the value of n, so that's n this time in the polynomial function, you are no more going to write what the n. Instead, you are going to replace the n by the 4. Okay, yes, then you get an actual what? Polynomial function. After doing that, then what do? You are going to divide it. Okay, so if n is equal to 4, then our new what? Polynomial function is for 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 4x plus 2. Okay, so if we have this, then we can divide that polynomial function by the first divisor given in the question. And how do we do that? Remember, when we're doing the division of polynomial function, we use the long division. Okay, looking at the divisor given, we can't use the synthetic approach. Okay, yes, we can use, so we can only use the long division approach to divide. So if that's the case, then we set in our long division, then we put in what? The dividend. Okay, so this is the dividend and our divisor out. Okay, so if we have this, then we are going to divide it. So we've done all this in our previous lesson, so we'll not waste time here. If you have forgotten, then you need to go back to what we did. So 2x outside will divide what? 2x cubed, and that is going to give us what? X squared. After dividing, you multiply the x squared by the 2x minus 1, and that gives 2x cubed minus x squared. Once you do that, what do? You underline it, meaning that you are going to what? Subtract. Okay, yes, so you are going to subtract this. Okay, yes, so if I'm going to subtract 2x cubed minus x squared from 2x cubed minus 5x squared, then I'm going to get negative 4x squared. Okay, good. So once you subtract, then what do? You add the rest of the terms of the dividends, which is negative 4x plus 3. Okay, yes, so you add that one, and then you are good to go. Okay, great. So after um adding that, what do you do next? You divide again. So we are going to divide 2x, which is of the divisor. We are going to divide the 4x, negative 4x squared by the 2x, and that is going to give us negative 2x. Once we get negative 2x, what do? We multiply again. So 2x multiplied 2x minus 1 gives us what? Negative 4x squared plus 2x. And once we multiply, what do we do next? We underline it and subtract. Okay, so we are going to subtract negative 4x squared plus 2x, okay, from the negative x squared minus 4x. And when we subtract, this is what we are going to get. We get negative. See, because when you subtract, the negative you see there is affecting them. Okay, when you open the brackets, you realize that it will affect it. Okay, as I said previously, that we've done this in our previous video. So if you have forgotten, then you need to go back. Okay, yes. So when you subtract, this is what you are going to get, and then you add the 3 left there. Yes, you'll add it, and once you add it, what do? You divide the 6x by the 2 again, and that gives me negative 3. If we have negative 3, then you multiply negative 3 by 2x minus 1, and that also gives what? Negative 6x plus what? 3. Once you are done, what do? You underline it and subtract. Okay, so I will subtract negative 6x plus 3 from our negative 6x plus 3. Okay, and when you subtract, what do you get? Because they are the same, then you are going to get what? 0. Okay, now you see that we still, even if we use the long division, okay, we still get the remainder 0. Have you gotten that? That's good. Okay, yes, that is great. So if that is the case, then let's see, how do you find the two factors? So the quotient that you've gotten, okay, that is what you are going to use to get the other two factors. You realize that we have gotten a quadratic expression, and once you have a quadratic expression, then we can find the other two factors by factorization method. We can factor them, and if we are to factor, okay, so we then factorize the quotient to obtain the other two factors. If we are to factor, then how do we do it? So you realize that for factorization method, this is what you are going to get. If we expand this, we are getting x squared minus 3x plus x minus 3. And that is what? X squared minus 3x in one bracket plus x minus 3 also in one bracket. If you factor x out, then we are getting x multiplying the expression x minus 3 plus 1 multiplying the expression x minus 3. Then we put x and 1 in one bracket and x minus 3 also in one bracket. Once you are done, then you get these two factors. So it means that our two factors are what? The x plus 1 and the x minus 3. So you see that this is very, very what? Easy. It is very, very simple. So in questions like this, you don't have to waste much time. That is how you should go about it. So this answers the whole question. Okay, all right, good. So if that is the case, then we shall end here and continue next time. Okay, yeah, so in our next lesson, we are going to solve more examples. We solve another example on this one, different examples, so that when you meet them in exam, you know how to go about them. Okay, great. So we end here for another day. My name is Evans Okay. I'm your maths facilitator. This is Maths TV. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also search us on TikTok, Maths TV, and you can see some of our video tutorials there. Kindly like and share. So see you next time. Bye bye.